Yeah, Winter Garden's feeding, it's getting close.
Just eerie. It was just eerie.
We thought was going to be a Category 1 hurricane.
Milton is still a little bit less than 300 miles offshore. That is a tornado confirmed. Wow, this is just an impressive image.
Wow. Pray for anybody in that path.
Look at that, look at that, look at that.
Massive tornado. Oh my God.
Again, these are moving due north.
All of a sudden, we were in the middle of Tornado Alley.
Tornado! Tornado! Get inside right now!
Second tornado coming north.
You need to get out of here. Get across. Go. That's it right there. Shoot. Shoot.
We still have a hurricane approaching.
as well.
Oh no, that just hit a house.
Sure. I've never seen tornadoes in my life.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
A tornado just came to our house.
The whole neighborhood got hit by a tornado.
It's all gone. There's nothing here.
You can't even describe it.
Yeah. I knew right away it was bad.
He started screaming, and then I heard a big explosion, and just like silence.
You know, our staff found people in the wood line.
He was dead on the ground.
You see these things on TV, but when you walk out and see it, wow.
We're coming, dear. We're coming.
I thought I'd seen the worst of it, but I didn't know what was coming.
Oh, gosh. October 9th was devastating to me.
We were prepared for the hurricane. We knew that Milton was approaching land. And, you know, you're just kind of hanging out waiting for those squalls to start.
The weather was fine. Didn't see anything unusual.
And little did we know that probably half hour later, what was in, on the way.
We got us a tornado right up ahead.
My name is Catline Dahlonega, but I've been known as Charlie most of my life. They say I'm a cross between a Chevy and a Harley. And I've been married to John Alberigi III. And don't forget the third, because he won't forgive you if you do. And it was about somewhere between 2 and 2:30. We were both sitting there watching television.
Look at that, look at that, look at that.
And just as I stood up, the front glass just started breaking in the room. The front glass was coming in. The G-force was pushing John so deep into the chair he was sitting in, his head was turned, and I was worried about his ability to breathe. So I tried to just get on him so I could control some of that. I couldn't get there. This thing had us and we were gone.
Oh, Lord, please be with these people. Oh, my God.
The next thing I remember quite literally was waking up under a dryer over in the field to the north, several hundred yards.
I was working that day and was able to get off work a little bit early, about 3:30, 3:45. Drove through quite a rainstorm coming home. I saw debris swirling and I saw, the circulation.
All of a sudden, the French doors threw open. I ran to the door, and Cameron was still. I said, Cameron, get in here, get in here.
The porch was almost breathing. You could see it, flexing in and out, and the roof just disappeared. You could see it peel back.
We watched it right in front of us. And I don't know, by the grace of God, I don't know how we were not sucked into that tornado. I don't know.
Cuando vi el tornado ya está llegando casi como 1000 metros aquí. Ese tornado viene con una gran furia, un gran remolino, suena muy fuerte. Y yo le dije a mi familia, en ese momento, yo le dije, métense adentro de la casa, porque ahí viene el tornado. Solo terminé de hablar esa palabra y se vino sobre nosotros.
Okay, is everyone breathing?
Yes, but nobody can get out.
They're all just trapped under there? Okay.
Yes.
Nos quedamos bajo los escombros, somos 15 con toda mi familia.
Everybody on feeder route, get out to the north now.
So I was actually on the feeder route, and I actually stopped in front of Spanish Lakes.
It's a tornado! Get out of here!
As you look down the roadway, you could see the tornado. It's unforgettable.
Tornado! Tornado! Get inside right now!
And I looked down the feeder route, and that tornado was coming. I could see it. It was just something I've never seen before.
Tornado right there. That's it right there. Huge. Huge. Huh? Right there. We gotta go.
I could feel the wind circling around my body. It's something I've never felt before. And just the sound was just eerie.
You got a second one coming in, right? Coming up Indro from the south. Second tornado coming north. There's another one starting right here in Indro again.
I didn't know it was a tornado. Yeah. I said, I'm not staying here. And 20 minutes later, I got a call that said my house was gone. Gone. How could it be gone? The hurricane's not even here yet. It's coming at 2 o'clock in the morning.
We were talking in the den when we heard a little noise.
It's a tornado right here. It's a tornado right here. You need to get out of here. Get across. Go.
And we ran into the bathroom, which was the closest for our safety. And it just felt like a train wreck.
Think of about 10 locomotives coming with a high-speed whistle. And the whole house just shook. Whatever class it was, but someone said it was 175 miles an hour. I believe it.
We're getting all these alerts, one after another, getting bombarded with alerts. And I said, when we hear that train noise that you're supposed to hear, we'll take cover. A second later, the house explodes, which is an implosion because everything blows in. And the next second, I was knocked onto the floor and the roof is on top and I'm pinned.
911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
My house collapsed. Like hellfire.
You can't find your husband? Is he inside?
I hope so.
This where I was living before the tornado hit.
We heard some crunching noises. We were wondering what that was.
When that thing hit, that devil hit.
Look at all the stuff flying.
I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know what to do. I said, what is that noise? And all of a sudden something clicked to me. Oh, and I couldn't get up out the chair fast enough, so I just pushed my little table over and I went running. And we hit the floor.
We need an ambulance really quick. A tornado took their house completely. We just got them out of the house.
The scene afterwards was absolute chaos.
He was literally completely buried.
It was devastating.
When I came to, I was buried. Most of me was underground. My arm was free, and I was trying to push this dryer off of me.
Walk the road off here, one lane. Walk the road off here, one lane. Don't let anybody pass for emergency vehicles. Everybody else, go that way, start searching. Maybe 3 people here.
The sheriff was there. I heard voices, they were talking. And I started finding whatever I could. I think I remembered finding a phone, throwing it straight up into the air, just trying to get attention and yelling.
She's right here, right there.
And they told me to quit trying to push the dryer off because we were totally wrapped in fencing and electrical wire that was hot wire. And that was scary.
Hey, we're gonna go north. Champion.
My concern was John. Where is John? John has dementia. I just couldn't imagine what he was going through. At least I was conscious, but where's John? And they were yelling his name, but wasn't getting a response. And I yelled his name a couple of times, and I held my ear to the ground, and I heard a muffled noise.
I need 3 people.
He was literally completely buried in a cow field with all that muck and junk. Literally under, they said, about 1,000 pounds of debris. Yeah.
Extremely large tornado traveling northbound from Coconut and Orange Boulevard.
I think people very, very badly injured. People are under the debris.
Pues gracias a Dios que los vecinos nos ayudó y en ese momento las autoridades del condado vienen también, pero no pueden pasar porque los postes de luz cayeron en la calle. Así no hay acceso para que ellos lleguen rápido.
How many people are trapped?
10 people! 10 people! 1, 2 little kids! No!
Cuando salí abajo de los escombros, yo vi la casa sin nada.
He was buried, the guy in the gray shirt, and he's walking around. Okay. There's a third one on that side. I haven't checked the third one.
El primer paso que hice, buscar a mi familia.
Hablo con ellos. Espérate allá.
Okay.
Tercero, ¿puede caminar acá?
Cuando vi que ellos están vivos, aunque golpeados, con gran heridas, pero están vivos.
Two BLS patients so far at this location.
Do you need police, fire, or medical?
My house collapsed.
The scene afterwards was absolute chaos. With all the emergency vehicle and all the personnel, it was absolute chaos.
All right, who do we got here?
Head trauma.
Okay.
My wife calls 911.
All right, we're going to get help on the way.
Okay, please.
Is he inside?
I hope so.
Okay.
And they all arrived pretty close, within 30 seconds of each other, on me, and I was conscious. So they were able to find me through the rubble.
Yo, can you move?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Proof of life.
I was smoking the cigar when it all happened. It was in my mouth, and it just stayed there. And I just got out of there, and then we got my wife out that was in the laundry trapped, and we had to slide her down the roof to get her out to safety.
The whole neighborhood got hit by a tornado.
I was amazed. I was locked down. What in the world is going on? It was devastating. Everything. The car was in the middle of the road. Oh my God. It was devastating when I come out and I looked and seen their house over there and not really knowing what's going on and went on in my house other than that door, and I seen trees and stuff inside, tree limbs. I cried, I cried, I cried. I was like numb, stunned.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I hope everybody in if you guys know anybody in Cobblestone, off 70.
I'd gotten to a mobile home that had been destroyed, and one was deceased, and that was confirmed. And I happened to be talking to some neighbors, and they said, well, he had a girlfriend, there was somebody else with him.
And it lifted the house. It threw him on the ground. I saw him. He was gone. Yeah. And she was in the house over here in the back.
We were like, okay, where do we start? It was so devastated. What part of the structure that we start looking in? I think it actually was a neighbor that actually found her, and her name is Mary. She said she couldn't breathe. We cleared the debris around her enough that I was able to kind of get someone underneath her, and we stopped. The reason why we stopped is because the steel beam that supports the trailer had flipped up over. She was inside the trailer, and the whole thing had come down on top of her. And it was going across her lower back. So there was no way that we were able to free her. I spoke to her. I moved the hair out of her eyes so the rain, wouldn't drip down in her eyes. I covered her face up, to protect her from the rain while we were still trying to get her out. A rescue personnel was on scene trying to get some heavy equipment in and some rescue equipment to try to help her. And due to the overwhelming debris on the roadway, the chaos and everything, they got to the scene too late. She had passed away. The helplessness that I felt, because I'm supposed to help people, and okay, I moved some debris from her, but she was totally trapped, which made me totally helpless. And I've never experienced that before, and that helplessness will probably stay with me forever.
You see these things on TV, but when you walk out and see it, wow, this is the real thing. This is ground zero.
When name is Victor Linero. My grandfather was Alejandro Alonso. This is about him. He lost his life. This ain't about me in any way whatsoever. There was one tornado that went through the trailer park. He FaceTimed me right after, showed me damage. We hung up. I'm like, all right. We were like, things were getting serious. The meteorologist said Lakewood Park Estates, and that's right here. And I called him back. I'm like, hey, take shelter. He started screaming. He screamed, ah, oh my God. And then I heard a big explosion. And then I heard just wind and just like silence. And I got in my car and I took off. And as soon as I crossed and got into the park's property, I walked around his neighbor's house, and that's when I saw an empty lot.
I was tending to Mary by her side, and a gentleman had walked across the canal. He came across and he said, I'm sorry to bother you, sorry to bother you. I was on the phone with my grandfather, and I just heard a boom, and I'm trying to get to him, I'm trying to get to him. I said, did your grandfather have somebody with him tonight? And he said, yes. Her name was Mary. And I just couldn't believe it, that I was with Mary. And I said, well, I can take you to your grandfather.
He escorted me to his body. And that's where I was able to say my final goodbye, and I was able to confirm that it was him. It wasn't supposed to say goodbye, it was supposed to say, hey, let's go to my house. You know? But it was goodbye.
It's the nightmare that I see when I go to sleep sometimes.
I think we need to get in the bathroom again. I'm not kidding.
So we're scared to death. We have a baby in here.
This is still a search and rescue, a very urgent search and rescue mission still at this point in this community. We just wanted to get an update from you, Sheriff Keith Pearson.
St. Lucie County felt somewhere between 6 and 12 tornadoes that touched down. These tornadoes were strong enough to flip cars over. So as we start getting closer, you're starting to see a little bit of damage, a little bit of roof damage. Straight ahead, there were homes here. They're gone. This specific location is a location where one of our residents lost their lives.
It's just debris scattered everywhere, just trailers, houses leveled. Yeah, it just looked like a bomb went off.
That day was completely different. It took us by surprise. We were notified that there is unlimited number of patients coming to the hospital. When we activated our mass casualty protocol, we didn't know the total number of casualties we would receive. And that was always an area of concern because we have all the resources in this hospital, but we don't know how many patients are coming.
As gruesome as it sounds, you know, our staff found people in the wood line. They found people underneath rubble. I mean, these are just houses that are collapsed all the way through. We were literally putting them in patrol cars. We were putting them in fire rescue vehicles.
The hospital turned to a factory to accommodate all those patients. When you see the look of fear and concerns in the face of everyone in the team, you understand that this is hitting deeper than what you think.
We had dogs out there smelling for people to see if there's anything in there, and then getting to it. You know, how do you lift all that debris off that's just mangled steel?
As we're moving stuff, looking underneath a gap, we were sticking our heads underneath and we saw what looked like, at first it just looked like a blanket or something. And we realized, oh wait a second, is that a dog? And we saw its chest going up and down, and it was breathing. So we're like, okay, not only is it a dog, but the dog's alive. So we were able to pull him out, and we lifted him up together. So I gently put him down, and he was just stood up. Like, he didn't even stand up, he was already standing up in my hands. So I put him down, looked up at me, and then, you know, I started walking him, and he was perfectly fine. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. grandson was contacted, and I came in there, grabbed the dog, and I saw they had like an emotional moment, and it just felt good to know that that dog is actually going somewhere after that.
We received like 3 patients who were in very critical conditions. Unfortunately, one of them didn't make it. The whole team was affected by this incident.
You know, unfortunately, we found victims throughout the days to come. They just hit you every time, and it just kind of pauses you for a second. You're like, man, this another one. You just hope that there's not any more, but the reality of it is there was, and we knew there would be more.
I call myself like an emergency expert, and I was taken by surprise for everything happened that day. It's the nightmare that I see when I go to sleep sometimes.
I was praying and pleading with God. It's all gone. You can't save nothing. There's nothing here.
I'm just now in a world where I don't have my mom.
My name is Sherry Ruiz. I was Bill's cousin, second cousin. I'm staying in front of his home that's not here with us anymore. Nothing's here now. This is the reality of the tragedy that happened. Uncle Bill wouldn't come with me. You know, I wanted him to come with me, and then I heard, oh yeah, tornado is ripping through Fort Pierce, and it's going, and it hit Spanish Lakes. When I saw a picture of Uncle Bill's red car, I saw the trees that you see behind me and his red car, and his home was completely gone. I went to a couple of the shelters, and there was no Bill Cutlip there. So I thought, Uncle Bill, just grab a phone. I was praying to myself, just grab a phone and call me and tell me you're okay. And that's when I got the call from the sheriff's department telling me Uncle Bill was gone. I was devastated, in shock, because I just couldn't believe it. And I was just so angry with myself that I didn't make him leave. This house that's shredded up is the inside of your gut and your heart is just shredded.
Well, I had seen that tornadoes started to hit down in the area that my mom lived in, so I sent her a message. I noticed it stayed on sent instead of delivered, and it never did that, so I immediately knew something was wrong. So I searched all night, talked to people all night. I had people taking your picture to the hospital, morgues, everything. And then the next day, after about 10 hours of searching as much as I could from being in New York, I got a call from a detective who verified that they had found her body earlier that morning. She had a great sense of humor, always. It was always a little dark, so it was always made it fun growing up. Our friends loved being around. Everybody that talked to her loved her. She's always willing to listen. She's always there for us kids. It's been the worst thing I've had to deal with my entire life.
I couldn't believe it. And I saw my house, which was nothing. I had a microwave hanging in the air, and it was just totally gone. Really, really gone. Well, the neighbor next door, they found him, he had passed, he was on the ground. And then the next neighbor was okay, but he couldn't find his girlfriend. They say it's a good thing I'm alive. You can't explain it. It's like, why me? I don't deserve this. I'm no better than anybody else.
I say grandpa, but it was the dad. He was my dad. He raised me. He gave away the last 26 years of his life to raise me, take care of me. And I was trying the best to do the same for him, and that's why I tried to get to him. Army veteran. He was in the post office, worked in the post office for 30 plus years. So he was serving the community for a long time. Either bringing them their paychecks, bringing them smiles. Truth be told, this isn't real. This is a nightmare. And I'm sure for everybody else, it's experiencing the same thing too.
You cry because you miss them. You cry because they're not there. But they're in your heart, and you got to know them, so you're lucky.
Nobody expected tornadoes on the other side of the state hours before the storm even came.
You never see this many storms, this many tornadoes, this much devastation in such a short period or any period of time.
We knew Milton was coming, but we knew it hadn't hit landfall yet. So what was this?
So we need to really keep an eye out because any of these can form at any minute. That right there is a tornado right there. That could be a tornado right there. We got to get farther up and shut it down.
Tornado right behind my house. There it goes.
We haven't even got the hurricane yet.
I mean, there's so many, they were overlapping each other, which I don't know if I've ever seen.
I got a feeling it's gonna be a long night. And we haven't even got started yet. So
I've never seen anything quite like this. This is an exceptional weather event for our area.
Chief Meteorologist Steve Weigel, he's back in the studio. I'm going to send things right over to Steve. Steve, what are you seeing?
All right. Well, a lot of tornado warnings, Kate. Let's break them down, take a look at exactly what's going on as we get into the afternoon hours.
When warm and cold collide, you get big storms. And in the case of Tornado Alley, you get massive tornadoes. In our case here, we usually see some tornado outbreaks right along the outer edges of the hurricane, but not the ferocity that we saw with this storm. And the difference this time, this was a hurricane that made landfall, but it was very dry on the southern side of it. There was no rain at all. I mean, normally you would expect 10 to 15 inches of rain. There's hardly a drop of rain. And that very dry air collided with that very moist air entrained in the hurricane, and that collision made the strong, just ferocious storms that we saw. In particular, that Wellington tornado, which was one of the most destructive during the day, an EF3 tornado, the winds 140, 150 miles an hour, made this extended swath of damage from central Palm Beach County, where it first touched down. It continued into Palm Beach Gardens, into Jupiter Farms in the Jupiter area, making it into the neighboring county of Martin County, and lifted up briefly for just a few minutes before touching down again and doing all the damage through Mariner Sands and then into Port Salerno and then eventually moving off the coast after that. And that's really incredible to see in South Florida. I certainly think we could see more of this in the future. We've seen more destructive tornadoes. I mean, just the hurricanes themselves are more active, they're stronger, they intensify more rapidly just before they make landfall. So we're on a trend here where more destructive storms, more destructive hurricanes, and more destructive tornadoes are a pretty good bet in Florida's future.
We could see this again.
Oh, absolutely.
In total, 6 people were killed by tornadoes that spawned October 9th. All 6 of them were from Spanish Lakes. Approximately $600 million of devastation remain across central and southeast Florida. Recovery and rebuilding could take years.
You have to walk away from it. It's all gone. You can't save nothing. There's nothing here.
Well, this was one of his flags. He had a couple of flags. It hurts, you know, it hurts, you know, with their materials, and they bring back memories, you know, and I have the memories, so I have the good ones, and it's in me, so greater is he that's in me than that's in the world, right?
My right leg is pretty mangled and scarred. My back's probably as gnarly as my leg was. And I guess they had to do CPR, and they ended up intubating me before we got to the hospital. When I think about how John was and his injuries, how could he not have been the critical one? Every rib was broken, his left arm and left shoulder, all broken. He was broken up, he was battered.
There's your survivor.
Hey, Cappy.
So he was buried underneath the rubble.
He was tangled with the rubble, and so my wife, myself, and my dog miraculously lived through this. It was an absolute miracle.
I ain't had nowhere to go other than my daughter, you know. I didn't have no insurance. I used to have insurance, but times got kind of hard. Yep. I don't want to, I'm not going to give up.
Well, we lost a good portion of the roof and unfortunately water damage. So the ceiling was a loss.
So here we are now, just at this point, just waiting. It's just, you know, this part of waiting.
When, you just wonder when and if you're going to get help. I know I'm going to have to get a car. I don't know how I'm going to be able to buy it if I don't get some help from FEMA.
Porque digo, es muy fuerte. Porque no nos dejaron nada.
How do you move forward now?
Things change. Like, I'm just now in a world where I don't have my mom. My whole perception of life has completely changed.
We will be able to rebuild. There'll be new homes here. I vision like nice, pretty new homes and flowers and new trees, and life will continue. That's the way, the cycle of life, you know? And that's the hope, and that's a hope Uncle Bill wanted us to have, and we sure enough, we do.
It was an event that shaken this whole area, and it helped to educate people about how to prepare. So I'm sure that people now think differently about the construction that they will choose.
He's looking for me, he's calling for me, and I promised him we'd never be separated, and here we are, separated, you know? Yeah, it's one of the hardest things I think I've ever had to do, is to tell him one thing and not be able to hold to my promise. That hurts. But I'm going to see him again today, so it'll get better. It will. The sun is shining, and I got the love in my heart.
Do you think that this community can be whole once again?
Absolutely, I do think we can be, we can become whole. We're moving forward, we're going to rebuild, and I want to throw a party here a year from now, a year from the date of our tornado, and that'll be my carrot to rebuild and come back strong.
I can't say it's going to be the same, because you got this in your back of your mind, you know, and everybody has lost so much.
Do you think you'll ever be whole again after this?
Yes. It's because I absolutely demand it. I just, like I said, I'll grab the bull by the horns and swing him around, you know. I'm not going to say this was a cakewalk. That would be an understatement. This is probably the biggest thing I've ever had to go through. And I hope I never have to meet somebody else that's gone through it.
I don't even think I can survive another tornado. And I'm sure I speak for a lot of people. I think about what I went through with and still here, alive to be able to talk about it. And it still hurts.